everybody, and welcome here to Daytona National Speedway for the 2023 Daytona 500 pole qualifying, as we're going to set the front row for the Great American Race here for the BCSRA Monster Energy Series. The 2023 season may be over, but one special event is not over, and that is the Great American Race of Daytona 500. Yes, we're doing this in October of 2023. I'm Dana Voiles up here in the awesome booth, as we are very excited to have you with us for the next 50 minutes of practice and qualifying. And the first car to roll out for qualifying is the Lincoln Continental of Hannah Smith. We will introduce the 42 drivers that will take part in the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. This is a special event to make up back in February that I had postponed, so we're going to finally have the time to get it done. Hannah Smith is the first driver on track. Hannah Smith had a pretty not so good year in the Monster Energy Series, as she will look to try to get herself into the right ship as we enter the 2024 season. She has not set a time because the pit stall that she had was in front of the start-finish line, as Annie Thomas has already laid a 107.927, where her pit stall was behind the start-finish line. So this will be Hannah Smith's first official timed lap. Same with Annie Thomas. Hannah Smith is nearly up to full speed. She's about to catch a draft, which is her teammate Ari Springer, which really is going to hold her up and really impede her lap time, so that's not going to do her any good. 49.192 for Hannah Smith. I just mentioned her teammate Ari Springer. Ari Springer made it into the playoffs for this series. Unfortunately, was eliminated after the round of 12 in what was a very good rookie year so far for the Smart Motorsports Development driver. Driving the Indiana Lincoln Continental. Just in front of these two ladies, former Daytona 500 champion Timmy Turner, who won the 500 in 2016 in one of the most craziest Daytona 500s, as he set what was the fastest lap of 47.507. Hannah Smith bettered that because Hannah Smith was in the draft of Timmy Turner. Timmy Turner driving the Buick Regal, sponsored by Tide and Reese's. Reese's used to be the title sponsor of this series until Monster Energy signed a multi-year contract. Just ahead of these drivers, they just caught up to Brittany White in the 53 machine. This is the ride Brittany White will be driving in the Monster Energy Series in 2024, the 53 machine, as Ari Springer goes to the top of the time sheets at a 46.73. Brittany White, driving for World NOS Racing, going to be driving this car. She drove the number 45 Sprint Chevrolet. I believe she did okay as far as this season is concerned. Ashley Reynolds in the 14 in the Mountain Dew Kickstart Fruit Punch Audi RS8 out of Stuart Haas Audi Racing. Ashley Reynolds this season had a very difficult year. She will be back in this number 14 ride next season. Before she took over this ride, this used to be Robert Morris's ride. But Robert Morris has not made his return back to the PCS rate ever since. Here's one of the Mercedes, Marty Stevens, the Brit. Marty Stevens, he and Riley Anderson never found victory lane, as Mercedes is on a bit of a dry spell. Last time they went to victory lane was with yours truly at Ricky Raceway in 2016. Chloe Erickson in the number 46 Citrus Ford Mustang out of World Mass Racing. Chloe Erickson, one of two drivers from Sweden. Her brother Ben is the other. Chloe has had a tough season so far in 2023. And hopefully she can try to win the Daytona 500. By the way, all 42 drivers are entered for the 42 starting spots. That means nobody officially goes home. Danny Rant, one of the drivers from KJM, Kevin Joseph Motorsports, and the Pepsi Max Chevrolet. Danny Rant is a teammate to Lisa Gonzalez, his team owner Kevin Joseph, and his fiance he just married during the season, Alexandria Van Dam. Here's a driver that I think everybody's looking forward to seeing in the 500, Annie Crenshaw in the 98. Annie Crenshaw had a very good season in the Coca-Cola Truck Series this past season. Despite missing 3 races, she made the playoffs. Sadly, she got eliminated. But she looks forward to racing with the young drivers, as she's never raced at a track like this before. It looks like Ish Taylor got out of the throttle in the 2 car. Wonder if his car got a bit tight or something, or an issue. But Annie Crenshaw, the 18-year-old from Cody Smart's team, she'll be the youngest teenager in the 500. Can you believe that? How'd it be for Annie Crenshaw to be the youngest driver to win the 500 at the age of 18? That would be a surprise. And she's going to have her sister, Maddie Crenshaw, in the 56. Maddie Crenshaw has already begun her senior year at the University of Purdue. Maddie Crenshaw has had anything but a stellar 2023 season. So, looks like she's going to have to try to get herself a good finish here to end off what has been a not-so-good season. Here's 2 more ladies, Vanellope von Schweetz and Lauren Ekstrom. Starting off with Lauren Ekstrom in the 73, as Schweetz is going to go to the pits. We'll document her later on in the show. Lauren Ekstrom, a career year. She just had her first year, as looks like we had a bit of dust kicked up. I don't know who that was from. But Lauren Ekstrom, 39th quickest at a 47.654. Ekstrom ended up making it into the Final Four to compete for the championship. And nearly won the championship, but made it a BMW 1-2. It's Chloe Bumgarner that's in trouble. Looks like the engine has let go on the number 84 Swiss Air Audi. That was where the dust storm was kicked up from. As we'll talk about Vanellope von Schweetz. Vanellope von Schweetz, when we were here at Daytona in Speed Weeks of 2016, she had a stellar season, as Bumgarner has made it to the pits. She will have to go to a backup engine and start at the rear of the field. We'll talk about that later on in the show of qualifying. But back to Schweetz, 2016 drove the 24, ended up going to victory lane in the rookie bash. Ended up having a good run in the 500 that year, even though she was involved in a wreck. Samantha Maple in the 09 in the Amp Energy Audi had a career year. Sadly, was eliminated after the round of 16, believe it or not. Just what if Samantha Maple had consistency, if you ask me? Right beside her is Elijah Leonard's most awesome driver and the newest champion of the Monster Energy Series, Jacob Tutu from Montreal. First time Canada has won a championship, period. They've never won championships in sports like, let's say, the NHL and all that, yada, yada, yada. But it's good to see Jacob Tutu back on top, as he is now his first ever championship in the PCS, believe it or not, in his, listen to this, 13th year of trying. So, Lucky 13 was very kind for the Montreal native, as Riley Anderson, the 36. Riley Anderson had a very not so good year, where she is the teammate to Marty Stevens, as Chloe Bumgarner has returned to track. Courtney Lynn had a struggling season, just never found victory lane this past season. Troy King ran a part-time schedule in the Monster Energy Series. We'll see if Troy King can have a better season in 2024 in that number 10. Lauren Chamberlain. The last time we seen Lauren Chamberlain in a PCSRE sanctioned event was the Buffalo Wild Wings Series. That was done by Cody Smart. Lauren Chamberlain, I do not think she took part. No, she was out for the entire 2023 season due to an injury. But she was fully healed, and now she's ready to run the Daytona 500. Sponsored by McDonald's on her Chevy SS out of Chip Ganassi Racing. Betty Johnson in the 83. The Wilson Security Hyundai Sonata. Hyundai has finished up their first season in the Monster Energy Series. Betty Johnson, disappointed that she did not have a good season, but will look to try to win the Daytona 500. Tatiana Guerra, one of the new drivers, and I also failed to mention this, one of a few rookies we've had. We've had Lauren Chamberlain, we've had Annie Crenshaw, and now Tatiana Guerra will be racing in this 500. Strawberry Lawson already parted ways with Joe Gibbs Racing, so Tatiana Guerra will take over the driving duties of the 11 for the Daytona 500. Dora Marquez in the only Kia K900 car in the field. Dora Marquez had anything but a stellar year last year, or this past season that just concluded for the Monster Energy Series. There's Ben Erickson, the brother to Chloe Erickson, and there's his co-owner, Luke Knight, in the 97. Ben Erickson and Luke Knight, the two World NOS Racing teammates. Luke Knight running the regular NOS car, while Ben Erickson's running the loaded cherry colors on his 96. Ignoring the blender in the background. Melissa Cooper in the 12, sorry. Melissa Cooper will be back for Smart Motorsports next season. Annie Thomas in the 23, former Monster Energy champion in 2015. Betty Barrett, former Daytona 500 champion back in 2014. There's Alexandria Van Dam, and I mentioned about her and Danny Rand getting married during the season. Soraya Itmed in the 69, the Golden Chick Lincoln Continental. She was about to be in the danger zone of losing her spot in the Monster Energy Series, but she got very lucky as far as that's concerned. They just got up to Mackenzie Thompson. Allison Washington in the 13. Very curious to see how she will do in that number 13 Geico Ford for Germain Racing. Mackenzie Thompson driving for Stuart Haas Audi Racing, teammate to Ashley Reynolds. Very curious to see how the 4 will do after she ran a part-time season. Lisa Gonzalez. If you remember this paint scheme in 2016 in the All-Star race, which was the scheme she debuted in, it went to Victory Lane. However, Lisa Gonzalez, ever since winning the All-Star race and the 600 in 2016, it has not been the same for her, which is a bit of a shame, to be quite honest with you. So we'll have to see if she can have better luck here in that 08 at a KJM. Ben Tennyson, the 102 Chevy Impala, is in the field, sponsored by Coke Zero. Ben Tennyson had a pretty bad year so far, but he looks forward to get his first taste in that Impala next season. I'm going to check and see if I missed somebody. I did miss somebody in this pack. That would be his team owner, Paulette Burrows. Paulette Burrows became the first driver from the country of the Bahamas to take part in what is now the Monster Energy Series on this channel. We talked about, the Coca-Cola family, where Paulette Burrows is running Ben Tennyson was running the Coke Zero colors, even though it's Coke Zero sugar right now in real life. This is the Diet Coke colors for Paulette Burrows, also running the Chevy Impala. Tatiana Guerra just coming back on track. Lulu Champagne, in the 47. Lulu Champagne had a miserable year, finished in the danger zone of losing her spot. Chloe Erickson's up in smoke. That's going to be an engine change, and they go into the rear in her dual race on Thursday. We're getting ready to mention that in a minute after we go over the drivers. But Lulu Champagne will look to try to bounce back after a terrible season that just concluded a few weeks ago. Manny Rivera, the Mexican driver, sponsored by the Snapple, which is the pink, that pink and blue with the yellow numbers 59. Manny Rivera had a tough season in this ride. He hopes to bounce back in 2024. Kevin Joseph, running the Dunkin' Donuts colors. He is the team owner of KJM, Kevin Joseph Motorsports. Hopefully he can have a better season so far. Zach Underwood in the 60, the Rockstar Audi out of RPM Motorsports. This is Alex Hawkins' team. Alex Hawkins has had a pretty disappointing season with his drivers in the field. There's Ann Maria in the 05 for Chevy Camaro Motorsports, sponsored by Mountain Dew Baja Blast on her Chevy Camaro. Alita Perez in the 74, that purple and grape NOS Energy Ford Mustang out of World NOS Racing. She will hope to have a better season than what she had in this past season of Monster Energy. There's Betty Barrett. There's Courtney Lynn, Troy King. Gonna go through the field. There's Gloria Tucker, currently fifth quickest. Gloria Tucker, ever since winning Indianapolis in 2016, which were the divisions, of course, that was when we had Monster Energy and Foster Series drivers mixed into one. But ever since then, Gloria Tucker really had a struggling season. In fact, she and Emmy Lipson got a win, got themselves out of the danger zone, which is good. And this is the gal who's the fastest. That would be Vanellope Von Schweetz. Are we surprised seeing not Betty, excuse me. Are we surprised to see Vanellope Von Schweetz fastest at Daytona? I don't think so. But for some of the new generation, they are surprised. For me, I'm kind of not surprised. And she just put a 46,203. And Gloria Tucker would be on the outside of the front row. Annie Thomas going to get swallowed up there. There's Tatiana Guerra. That's right. It's Lisa Gonzalez. I believe we've covered them all. Survey says yes is the answer. Oh, Danny Rand got up in smoke. Engine let go on the 06. That's going to be an engine change. How that was not a big wreck, I don't know, but everybody did a good job. Danny Rand is 15 quickest. Looks like he will have to go. He'll have to change engines on that car, and he'll have to go to the rear of the field on Thursday, as he's going to come to a stop. At least he's out of harm's way. Because Danny Rand blew up, that means he will have to change engines. So we're going to have three drivers changing engines. Chloe Erickson, that is. Danny Rand and Chloe Bumgarner. Because of that engine change for all three of those drivers, regardless where they finish in this qualifying session, they will have to start at the rear of the field in the dual races on Thursday. You'll see at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you will be with us for that. And if you were to have an engine change, especially with the fact that, you're going to start the rear for the duels, it's better to do it in the duels where you have a little bit of leeway versus when you do it before the 500 or happen in the duels. There's Chloe Erickson. Right now, Manny Rivera just went faster. He's got the fastest time. 46,009. The gal right behind Manny Rivera is second quickest. That's Brittany White. Right now, those two, well, as soon as I say that, Anne Maria went to the top of the timesheets. 45,968. What a fast lap. She and Kevin Joseph right now on the front row. And they've caught a major pack, and this is where they're getting all their speed from. Ooh, Annie Thomas nearly got collected. Ooh, that was Marty Stevens who saw Annie Thomas. He's like, oh, I don't want to wreck Annie Thomas or I'm going to commit female abuse. Holy cow, this is qualifying, guys. Good grief. This is not the race, guys and gals. Good night. Let's go on board RE Springer. This is the cockpit. You can see how RE Springer's not turning a whole lot. As we go into turn number 3 here, look at how gentle her hands are on the wheel as they get a little bit of a held up from somebody. I don't know who it was. I think it might have been Tatiana Noguera, who was just coming back out onto the track. We're past the halfway mark here in this qualifying session, but you see how smooth when Ari turns into the corner, how smooth her hands are. She's not like jerking the steering wheel to where the car is going to be pushing tight. Because remember, they are practicing, race runs, and also for the dual races on Thursday. They want to make sure they have a lot of good data as we get ready for the Great American Race, which, by the way, will be in prime time. Right now, it's only Anne Maria and Kevin Joseph who are on the front row. Everybody else, their starting grid will be determined by the dual races on Thursday before the Great American Race. Paulette Burrows just coming back out onto the track. Let's hope nobody hits her. It looks like she's not going to get in the way. She's not going to be in the draft, however. And we're only going to have 3 rookies in the 500. Chamberlain, Noguera, and Annie Crenshaw. Jacob Tucha just said, I'm going to come to pit road before y'all just wrecked my car and I have to go to a backup. That's something these drivers got to think about is they do not want to wreck their primary cars, because if they wreck their primary cars here in this qualifying session, they would have to go to a backup car and start the rear of the field for the duels on Thursday. And same thing in the duels. If you crash out or blow up in your duels, you'll have to either A, change your engine or whatever the issue was on your car, or B, you would go to a backup car, start the rear of the field for the 500. So that's something these drivers have got to start thinking about, is they don't want to tear up their cars in this qualifying session or in their duels where they would have to go to a backup and start the rear of the field. Because in the dual races, there's only going to be 21 cars. So I don't think there's going to be any need of these drivers wrecking their cars or causing a wreck to where they go to a backup car. Now, if you get involved in a wreck and you finish the race, then you get to repair your car and you'll keep your starting position. You just got to survive your 150-mile qualifying race on Thursday to make sure you keep the front row if you're the 75 and the 05, as Alita Perez just went to the pits. The other thing these drivers got to think about, you see that yellow line right here? That is out of bounds. These cars cannot go below the yellow line to advance their position. If you're forced below the yellow line, you have to come back up and blend in. But if you go below to advance your position, you will be penalized and brought to pit road immediately. The other thing these drivers are going to have is we have 13-gallon fuel cells in these cars. Yes, it's a lot different than the Canadian 450 where they had a full 22-gallon Sunoco race fuel in their cars. And that could play a factor in this big race coming up on Saturday, which, by the way, will be Saturday night. to make sure there's no time issues involving big series, it will be at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time is when we will wave the green flag for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. And yes, it will be the full 200 laps, 500 miles, and my commentary is going to be bad, but oh well. Excuse me. I'm having like a Dr. Pepper strawberries and creams, and as of this recording, if any of you come across this video, no, I'm not sharing, but I already know I'm off the figures jail. See, Marty Stevens got a bit tight there. That's going to be something we're going to watch on in the 500 is, are these drivers going to take it easy and not give each other any grief? And I can go over looks like Brittany White had to check up and not run in the back of Manny Rivera, but that really costed her and Betty Barrett some speed. Sorry about that. I keep hitting the volume deal on my headset for some reason. Sorry about that. Let's go over our former winners of the 500, since we have about 18 and a half minutes left to go in this qualifying session before these drivers get out of their cars, debrief with their crew chiefs, and head to the showers. We've run the Daytona 500 all but 2 occasions. Of course, 2020 and 2019 never happened because, well, we never did those Daytona 500s for those respective years. And I mentioned Turner and Barrett are 2 of our former winners of the 500. Betty Barrett won in 2014. Timmy Turner won it in 2016. Who are the other former winners of the 500? Well, the inaugural winner is not in this field. That would be Annie Einstein. She won it in 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. She's a 4-time winner of this race. She has more Daytona 500s than Denny Hamlin in real life. 2015, Crystal Fontaine. Unfortunately, she's not in this field, sadly. But we do expect to see Crystal Fontaine next season driving for Fitzwater Australia Racing in the Monster Energy Series. 2017 was done at Pensacola. Zachary Taylor, one of our Triple B friends, he's not in this field. This is, by the way, former winners of the season opener, I should point out. Bryce Blackwood won the 2018 500. Then the 500 did return in 2021. The winner of that day, Reagan Whitlock, in a 1-caution race, which, by the way, 1 caution was our fewest cautions in the 500. And the defending winner of this event from last year is not in this field. That would be Kelsey Hobbs, who drove the 01 Coors Light Chevrolet for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. So regardless who wins the 500 this year, we're guaranteed a new 500 winner. Regardless who it is. Excuse me. Right now, no changes as far as the top 10 is concerned. Of Of course, we still have Anne Maria, Kevin Joseph, Manny Rivera, Brittany White, Alita Perez. That's your top five. Danny Rant, who will have to start the rear of the field after his engine blew. Betty Barrett, Ari Springer, Vanellope Von Schweetz, and Chloe Bumgarner, the top 10. Of course, Bumgarner will have to go to the rear of the field for her dual race on Thursday, along with Danny Rant. Top 15 completed by Gloria Tucker, Marty Stevens, Courtney Lynn, Ben Erickson, and Betty Johnson. Timmy Turner, Zach Underwood, Samantha Maple, Luke Knight, and Dora Marquez, your top 20. As we'll give 69 a chance to talk. Well, she's coming to pit road. Never mind. Allison Washington, one of the drivers we're looking at. Ashley Reynolds, Alexandria Van Dam, Mackenzie Thompson, and Maddie Crenshaw, the top 25. Top 30 completed by Soraya Itzmed, Melissa Cooper, Annie Crenshaw, Annie Thomas, and Troy Kang. Tatiana Guerra, 31st. 32nd, Lauren Chamberlain. Kind of not surprising to see those two struggle, but to be fair, it's qualifying, so they can definitely improve when we go to the duels on Thursday. Ben Tennyson, Chloe Erickson, which would be funny if that all three drivers that had to start the rear of the field were in the same dual race, which would be really rare that happens. Riley Anderson, the top 35. Then top 40 was completed by Paulette Burris, Jacob Tutu, defending series champion. That's kind of surprising to see Jacob down there. But knowing the new champion of the Monster Energy Series, he can do great things, if you ask me. Lauren Ekstrom and Hannah Smith. And then the final two drivers are Ish Taylor and Lulu Champagne. So those are your 42 drivers that will be taking part in the Daytona 500, and also you'll see them in the duels. According to what I'm seeing as far as the timesheets is concerned, I've noticed all three of the Australian motorsports, Tutu, Barrett, and Ekstrom, would be in dual race number one if it stays like this. And that's big because, we're going to talk a lot about teammates in one race, and that's really critical as far as that is concerned. Having teammates in one race and not having any teammates at all. Because if you're in the second dual race, you're going to watch that first race and see, how the tires are going to play out. Especially, when we're going to do this at night. Because remember, there are, I didn't mean to belch there. But anyway, they're going to be 60 laps, 150 miles. On all these drivers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a test session for the Daytona 500 you'll see on Saturday night. Because remember, after the duels, the cars will be impounded, and the next time teams will work on their cars after the dual race will be on Saturday night for the 500 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Blue Hedgehog TV. And if you're Tatiana Guerra, Lauren Chamberlain, and Annie Crenshaw, those three ladies are going to be a nervous wreck for obvious reasons. One being rookies in the 500, which, let's say, it's an honor to be in the 500. That's one thing. You don't have to worry about trying to beat this many cars and go or go homer and all that yada, yada, yada. No. Being one of the 42, all you can do is just go out there and try to have fun. I mean, oh well, if you finish 20th in Duel 1 or in Duel 2, you can win in any spot in this series. And, if I have good advice for the 11, the 1, and the 98, try to earn respect to the other 39 veterans in this series. And for Annie Crenshaw being the youngest driver to race the 500 at the age of 18, because yes, she did turn 18 before the Martinsville weekend. That's a big deal, if you ask me. As we're coming to the end of the session, it's looking like the 05 and the 75 are about to be the front row for the Daytona 500 if they don't wreck their cars in Thursday's qualifying race. The duels, I call them. And for any of you asking me, I am going to be calling them the Gatorade duels. I'm not going to call them the Can-Am duels or the I don't know what they were called this year as far as the duels. The Gander RV duels. No, I'm just going to call it the traditional Gatorade duels. It's traditional, and we're keeping it traditional. Somebody kicked up some dust going in the 3. I don't know who it's from. I think it might have been the 40. Was it from the 47? Let's see. So I saw some dust being kicked up. Yeah, there it is. You saw it a second ago. I don't know who kicked up dust. Whoever did. Oh, that was Troy Kang. Apparently, Troy Kang had a problem. Thankfully, he got to pit road. But I didn't see any smoke on the back of that Audi. They're gonna have a lot of work to do on that car between now and the duels on Thursday. Let's go on board Timmy Turner. Turner tried to go the outside of Alita Perez, unfortunately was unsuccessful. And that's why drafting is really important. And remember, aerodynamics here at Daytona mean a lot for these drivers. And the thing about, Timmy Turner is that, he's a former 500 winner. So is Barrett. We have a 1 in 39 chance of having a new winner in the 500. As we're coming to the end of the session here. As we're coming up to the end of this qualifying session. Betty Barrett going to be 7th quickest. And she will be the fastest of the Beamers. Jacob Tutu and Lauren Ekstrom, yeah, they might be looking for some speed here, but they don't need speed because they got some good fast race cars on them. Down to 5 minutes to go and change in this qualifying session. Lisa Gonzalez just got back up to speed. They're all going to split Lisa Gonzalez, put her in what we call the sucker hole. Let's go back up to the 05 of Anne Maria. Sportsnet PCS Array with Cody and the gang coming up next when this qualifying session is done. They'll give their analysis and opinion on qualifying day, who is hot and who is not. And we'll preview Thursday's qualifying races. You'll see at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 races to set the grid for the Daytona 500. And it looks like Anne Maria will take the Bud pole for the Daytona 500. Well done to her. As Anne Maria is going to come to pit road, doesn't think anybody's going to beat her time. Tatiana Guerra, currently 31st quickest, but I know her team owner Frank will have a good chat with her as far as, what she needs to work on for the 500. Her best lap is a 46.616 as we're down to under 90 seconds to go. And Maria's just probably going to have to shut the car off. And just so everyone is clear, as we're down to under a minute to go in this qualifying session, there was no signups because this is a Monster Energy Series event only. So just letting you all know that. So Anne Maria just going to be grateful she's going to start on the pole for the 500. As that is it. Looks like qualifying is done here at Daytona. That is big to see. Anne Maria will be your pole sitter for the Great American Race. Not going to improve her time. As the final seconds tick down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, got another 30 seconds as the red and black flags are up. Means this session is done. So, how about that? Anne Maria will start on the pole for the Daytona 500. You will see Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, providing she keeps her pole position for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. And she'll be alongside of Kevin Joseph in the 75. So this will be the duel. So the duels will be first, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, etc. As far as the dual race. So we'll have Anne Maria, Manny Rivera, Lita Perez, Betty Barrett, Vanellope von Schweetz, Gloria Tucker, Courtney Lynn, Betty Johnson, Zach Underwood, Samantha Maple, Allison Washington, Alexandria Van Dam, Maddie Crenshaw, Melissa Cooper, as you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results for qualifying, Annie Thomas, Tatiana Guerra, Ben Tennyson, who will have to start the, or no, he will not have to start the field, I'm sorry. Riley Anderson, Jacob Tutu, Lauren Ekstrom, and Ish Taylor. 3 drivers that will be going to the rear of the field for dual race number 2. As far as I know, that would be Chloe Bumgarner going to the rear. Who else did I say was going to the rear? I think it was Chloe Bumgarner. Chloe Erickson. And there was one other driver, and I just forgot who that driver was. And I went brain dead. Oh, it's Danny Rand. That was the other driver. Okay. That was who I was thinking of. So, yeah. So, Rant, Bumgarner, and Danny Rand, Chloe Bumgarner. I just now went brain dead who that was. And Chloe Erickson will have their work cut out for them as they will start at the rear of the field for their dual races on Thursday. So, there you go. So that's going to do it for Daytona 500 qualifying. Congratulations to Anne Marie and Kevin Joseph. They have locked the front row out for the Daytona 500. Next up for these drivers, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The duels. Gatorade duels at Daytona to set the rest of the field for the Daytona 500. Nobody goes home since there's only 42 cars entered in that event. And we look forward to that. But thank you all for tuning in to this qualifying session for the Daytona 500 for this special event for the Monster Energy Series. If you enjoyed today's qualifying session, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the PCS Race Crew today. We showed your full finished results of qualifying. We'll see you Thursday for the dual races. Until then, I've been Dean DeVoe signing off as you've been watching another broadcast of PCS Race TV celebrate 13 years of existence. The best NR racing around the world since 2017. Have a great rest of your Sunday, my friends. We'll talk to you on Thursday for the duels. Thanks for watching the Blue Hedgehog TV production of the Monster Energy Series. See you Thursday, everybody.